What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the From the Booth podcast. My name is Mike. Got Spider Man behind me. A little bit of a new setup. I'm still working on it, so just bear with me. But the quality, I promise you, is going to be better than it was in the last video. Speaking of the last video, though, thank you guys for absolutely killing it. We are all the way up to 80 subscribers. So if you aren't subscribed already, please make sure to join the party and subscribe. We're on the road to 100. Hopefully, going to hit that before the draft, but we'll have to see. For this video, though, it's going to be a mock draft, as I do every Monday. I'm going to do mock draft Monday, and I have my mock draft with me. So let me know in the comments down below what you think of my mock draft, what you think of my reasoning, anything like that. I love hearing you guys' opinions. You guys were really opinionated in the last Seahawks video I made, which I appreciate. You guys are my boys. Love you, Seahawks fans. So just let me know. I mixed it up a little bit. I kind of had some new thought processes this week, maybe shaking things up a little bit more than I have been. So I hope you guys enjoy. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Starting with first overall, the Carolina Panthers. That unfortunately does not change. The Panthers, in my opinion, are still going to take C.J. Stroud. Um, they still, have him as their quarterback one, the guy that they like the most. And then similarly, the Texans are still going to take Bryce Young second overall. The C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young combo at 1 and 2, in my opinion, is a lock. It can go either way. I'm leaning more towards CJ number one, Bryce number two. I think CJ's build gives him a bit more of an advantage over Bryce Young. There maybe is a little bit concerned that he's not going to be durable, XYZ, right? Um, so I will take CJ Stroud going first overall, Bryce Young going second. Next, I do have my first big shakeup of this draft. I have the Arizona Cardinals trading down with the Las Vegas Raiders to pick 7. The Raiders are now going to pick third, and the Raiders are now going to pick Anthony Richardson, quarterback from Florida, one of the most toolsy guys in the whole draft, one of the guys with the highest ceiling. And I've been thinking about this. Teams that could maybe trade up for Arizona, because Arizona's probably not going to take a quarterback, right? We know that. Um, I think this makes sense for a few reasons. Um, Vegas or the Raiders organization has really always drafted people based on attributes, right? Look at Henry Ruggs. Look at Darius Hayward Bay. Look at Jamarcus Russell. Those are guys who were extremely gifted in a specific category, and that had some kind of special athletic trait. The Raiders really love special athletic traits. Additionally, with the um, enigma, we'll call it, of Mahomes in their division, they kind of need to go for broke. They need to get a guy who could be something similar to Mahomes. Um, I think that you know the way that the Raiders are operating right now with Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean that doesn't strike fear in anybody. But if they can get Anthony Richardson, Josh McDaniels is an offensive guy. If they can get Anthony Richardson and Josh McDaniels working together, fixing some of his mechanical issues, I think Anthony Richardson could be a great addition. So the Raiders are going to move heaven and earth to get up to number 3 to take Anthony Richardson, and at number 4, the run at quarterbacks is not done. The Colts are going to take Will Levis. They're taking a quarterback, I think, pretty much no matter what. And the best one there on the board currently is Will Levis. I think that they actually have a pretty high grade on Will Levis. There are rumors that they'll take Will Levis at 4, even if AR is available. So I think Will Levis is going to go number 4 to the Colts. That sets up very nicely for my Seattle Seahawks at pick number 5, who now have their pick as the best non quarterback in this draft. And in my opinion, that's by far and away Will Anderson, the pass rusher from Alabama. Will Anderson fits a lot of the needs of the Seahawks. He's a long, rangy defensive end. He's got a high motor. He can play the run, which is something that Seattle couldn't play at all last year. He kind of fills a lot of their needs. I know they have Daryl Taylor. I know they have Uchenna Nwosu, but Will Anderson is a difference maker and a guy that they would never be able to get their hands on. I mean, look at what San Francisco did with Nick Bosa, right? They got their hands on the second overall pick, took Nick Bosa. Look how much he has transformed their defense. And I'm not totally comparing him to Nick Bosa, but I want it to be understood the effect of what a top rated pass rusher in the draft can do for your defense. And that's what I hope and pray Will Anderson can do for the Seahawks. Next, at number 6, the Detroit Lions. I still think that Detroit is going to take a chance on Jalen Carter. They don't really have a great interior defensive line at the moment, but I think Jalen Carter could fix that and his fall in the draft because of his character issues. I think the Lions are still going to take a chance on him. I think Dan Campbell was being very vague for a reason because he didn't want to get other teams excited. He wanted to worry some other teams, but I think the Detroit Lions are going to go for him at number 6. Next, looking at the Atlanta Falcons, I'm sorry, looking at the Arizona Cardinals, who are now in pick 7. They're going to go with best defensive player available. They're going to go Tyree Wilson. Listen, J.J. Watt retired. Zach Allen left in free agency. Their defensive line right now is dog shit, point blank period. So I think going for a edge rusher in the draft, a really good edge rusher as well, and obviously getting some extra capital with that Raiders trade up, is going to be good for the Cardinals. Get a good guy to play a defensive line, and looking at the quarterbacks in that division, you got Geno, Kyler Murray, and whoever the fuck the 49ers have. You're gonna need, guys to get after the quarterback, especially in just in the league in general, right? All right, so number 8, we got the Atlanta Falcons. I think the Atlanta Falcons are gonna go with Quentin Johnston, wide receiver from TCU. I think they like the idea of pairing him with Drake London, two big body, really athletic wide receivers. They want to see what Desmond Ritter can do. They want to showcase his. They want to, give him a trial year essentially, because again, he was a fourth round pick, I believe. So he's not necessarily guaranteed anything, but they want to see what they have. That was their whole reasoning for going after Lamar Jackson, for not going after Lamar Jackson, excuse me, because they have Desmond Ritter, whatever. Um, so Desmond Ritter's the guy. I think he's going to get a shot, and I think they're going to want to surround him with talented players, as many talented players as they can. I think Quentin Johnson is pretty talented as well. Next, the Chicago Bears picking at number 9, thanks to their trade down with Carolina. I have them taking Paris Johnson Jr., the tackle from Ohio State. Now, listen, the Bears filled a lot of their needs in free agency and during the trades, right? Traded for DJ Moore. They needed wide receivers. They got linebackers, TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds. They signed defensive linemen. That's good. They haven't fixed the exterior offensive line. The two tackles are still kind of questionable, and especially in today's league, tackles are very important. Especially your for a right-handed quarterback, your left tackle, your blindside protector. Get Paris Johnson in there. Former Ohio State guy, just like Justin Fields. Get Paris Johnson in there. Have him anchor that left tackle spot. You have that top 10 pick for a reason. If with that top 10 pick, you can get a guy who can be at least a quality left tackle, this Bears offense can go to leaps and it can become leaps and bounds better than what it was um, behind that shit offensive line in years past. So Paris Johnson for the Bears to me makes a lot of sense. All right, what's up, everybody? We're back. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties there, but ending off the top 10 here with the Philadelphia Eagles. I have them taking Miles Murphy. Now, I've been hearing a lot about Miles Murphy lately, and I think I've been mocking him a bit too low. I was watching the Joel Klatt show. He was talking about Miles Murphy. Saw Daniel Jeremiah talking about Miles Murphy. So I'm thinking maybe he's a bit higher rate of a prospect than I have on my personal, mock draft board. And, the Philadelphia Eagles, they have, I don't want to say a need at edge rusher, but they have, an opportunity to take an edge rusher here at number 10, a bit of a luxury pick, a guy who has a lot of high upside. And, with the Eagles having some guys leaving from their defensive line, some guys getting older, like, Robert Quinn or Brandon Graham, I think it's a good opportunity to take a talented edge rusher here at number 10 with Miles Murphy. So that's what I have the Eagles doing. Next, Tennessee Titans here at number 11. Um, I know the Caleb Farley thing didn't work out at corner, but I still think that the Titans are going to want a dominant corner. What Adoree Jackson or Caleb Farley should have been. They want Christian Gonzalez here, so I have them taking. I think he is a playmaker for that Tennessee defense that, at this current moment, is good, but I think they lack a little bit of swag, a little bit of juice. I think that's what Christian Gonzalez can bring to the table. That's what I have them doing. Next, the Houston Texans. I'm very confident in the quarterback receiver combo at 2 and 12. And at 2, they took Bryce Young. And at 12, I think they're going to take JSN, aka Jackson Smith and Jigba, wide receiver out of Ohio State. Now, the knock on him is that he's not very fast, and that's true. He ran pretty well at his pro day, but there have been guys in the NFL that have made it work without top line speed. A Cooper Cup, even some other guys. So expect JSN to be very high volume, to get a lot of catches. Maybe just not be the burner after the catch that some guys are. I have JSN going 12 to the Texans, who are now operating with a pretty good offense. You get Bryce Young, you get a good wide receiver 1. He can replace a lot of what Brandon Cooks was doing for a much cheaper price, and maybe even has a higher ceiling than Brandon Cooks had. So let's see. Next, at number 13, we have the New York Jets. I'm rescinding my claim that I think the Jets are going to give up the 13th overall pick for Aaron Rodgers. The more time that lasts and the deal doesn't get done, the less compensation I think Green Bay is going to get. And from what I've been reading, it doesn't look like the 13th overall pick is in play for Aaron Rodgers. So the Jets are going to keep this pick. They're going to take an offensive lineman, Peter Skoronsky, out of Northwestern. He could play tackle, he could play guard. I would put him at left tackle to replace Dwayne Brown. And then, God forbid, anything happens to Mekhi Becton, you could always slide him over to right tackle, although I think left tackle would be a little bit more important. But I think, they're going to want to keep whoever's that quarterback upright. They have a really good defense. They have good weapons um, around their quarterback now, with Miko Hardman and Alan Lazard and obviously Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall. Those guys are really good young offensive players. Get the offensive line, shore up the offensive line, and I think this offense could be really, really good. Next, New England taking Lucas Van Ness. This pick just makes a lot of sense to me, and I don't really know why. Just a quality defensive program in Iowa. Bill Belichick likes players from certain programs. I think that's the reason they take a lot of Alabama players. It's because Nick Saban, is a great coach. Obviously, he's a great defensive coach as well. Iowa, they always have pretty good defensive players coming into the league. So I like Lucas Van Ness to the Patriots. At 15, the Packers are going to take Brian Branch, a guy who I think they really like and I think can fix a lot of holes in their defense. He can play the run, he can pass cover, he's fast. I mentioned it with Detroit, but Justin Fields in that division, if nothing else, his legs are a threat, and that dude is fast as fuck. And you need guys that can go chase down Justin Fields, whether that's in the pass rush, whether that's after he's passed the first down marker, whatever. Um, Brian Branch, Darnell Savage really wasn't good last year. Adrian Amos is getting older. They haven't needed safety. I think Brian Branch makes a lot of sense. Can fill a lot of holes in their defense. At 15 for Green Bay. At 16, I have the Washington Commanders taking Devon Witherspoon, the corner from Illinois. Again, remember, Ron Rivera's got that Illinois bias. Used to play for the Bears. Obviously, has a lot of connections down there. But I also want you to remember Ron Rivera's time in Carolina when he had that great defense. Who did he have at corner? Josh Norman. Josh Norman was a physical, up in your face corner who was not afraid to tackle and talk shit. That's to me what Devon Witherspoon is. That's probably my pro comp for Josh Norman, although I don't think the ball skills are as good and as Josh Norman in his prime. But I like Devon Witherspoon to the Washington Commanders. Pittsburgh, I'm gonna take Kalijah Cansey. I know he's a bit undersized, but going into a organization like Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin, I think they could really maximize this kid's potential, really get him to where his peak would be at. In that division, you got to play Joe Burrow twice a year. You got to play Deshaun Watson. You got to play Lamar Jackson probably twice a year. You need guys that can go get after it. And with T.J. Watt and Cameron Hayward being there and being great, it would never hurt to add another quality pass rusher. So I'm going to go ahead and put Kalijah Cansey to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Back-to-back first-round picks from Pittsburgh to Pittsburgh. Yeah, for the Steelers. So there you go. Next, Detroit. They're going to take Kalijah Cansey. I'm sorry. Kalijah Cansey. I'm tweaking. They're going to take Nolan Smith. Kalijah Cansey just got taken. They're going to take Nolan Smith, the athletic, speedy pass rusher from Georgia, taking his teammate earlier in the draft in Jalen Carter. I think Nolan Smith makes this Lions defense legitimately scary. We saw in free agency they addressed the defensive backfield with C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Cam Sutton. Obviously, they still got Jeff Okudah. They're hoping he can stay healthy. But in the draft, I think they're gonna go after defensive linemen. Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith pairing with Aiden Hutchinson, that makes that defensive line legitimately very fucking scary. And in the draft, I think later in the draft, you can address linebacker. You can go get a Jack Campbell. You can go get a Henry To'oTo'o, one of those guys to fill some needs. But I think, again, really, really fast quarterback with Justin Fields in your division. You need guys that can hunt him down, that can harass him, that can catch up to him. I think Nolan Smith works at Detroit. They love their defensive guys, so I think that he's the move there for the Lions. Next, Tampa Bay at number 19. They're kind of in a shitty spot because they don't have a good team and they don't have money and they don't have a high draft pick. And so, what's best player available? Brian Brisset, I think, is the move here. I've said it a few times. Um, He's got a really high upside. Look at his 2021 film. That's the kind of player I think you're getting. I think 2022 was a bit of an off year for him. But 2021, that's a great player. I don't know if you guys remember, he had all that hype coming out of high school, going into Clemson. He's one of the top recruits in the class, um, and I think deservingly so. I think he's a great player, and he can be really good. Todd Bowles is a defensive guy. The Bucks, the Bucks, when they won the Super Bowl, is because of their defensive line. I mean, let's be honest. So, rebuild the team. Start with the defensive line. Brian Bresee the move. Um, Next, the Seattle Seahawks at number 20 are going to take Joey Porter. Pete Carroll salivates, voice crack, goddamn. Pete Carroll salivates at the mouth whenever he sees a long armed physical corner with athleticism. That's Joey Porter. Pair him with Tariq Woolen, I think would be a dream scenario for the Seahawks. Pete Carroll's specialty is defensive backs. I mean, look all the way back at his time at USC. So he is more than capable of coaching this kid up and making this kid a quality defensive player. Obviously, has that lineage with his dad being a Steelers legend. I like Joey Porter to my Seahawks. Next, this is a bit of an unorthodox pick, but I want you guys to hear me out. All right, I think the Los Angeles Chargers at 21 are going to take Bijan Robinson. Now I know I've mocked Zay Flowers there pretty much in every other one of my mock drafts, and to me that would still make a lot of sense. But consider the situation with Austin Eckler, right? A, they've given him permission to seek a trade because they're not meeting his contract demands. Okay, that means they clearly don't value him as much as he thinks they did. A. B. He's an aging running back. And when you have the word aging and running back in the same sentence, it's typically not a good thing. B. C. In the playoff game, I would think that a lot of the reason the Jacksonville Jaguars were able to come back and beat them was because they were not able to run in between the tackles. They couldn't get a consistent run game going. Austin Eckler to me is not a very good running back. He is a guy who is great for fantasy, especially PPR, because he catches the ball all the time and he has a nose for the end zone. That is true, but he's not a guy you can consistently turn around, hand the ball to, have him kill the clock, have him finish the games. He's not physical enough. He's a bit small. So I think Bijan Robinson is a home run hitter. He's physical. He gonna give guys the business, and he is one of those dudes that you can preserve a lead against. How many times have we seen in the last couple of years? They're leaning against Kansas City. They're leaning against Jacksonville. They're leaning against whoever, and they can't close the game out. Bijan Robinson is your home run hitter and your closer. He's like Aaron Judge and Mariano Rivera for you Yankee fans out there. He is the guy who can hit you home runs and finish the game for you. So I'm going to go ahead and take Bijan Robinson 21, 22. Then Zay Flowers goes to the Baltimore Ravens. Now they still do need wide receivers, and I think they missed that vertical stretching defense that they had with Hollywood Brown. Obviously, the way he was able to go deep and be such a deep threat for the Ravens. And we all know Lamar Jackson throws a great deep ball. So I think having another speed demon wide receiver who is quicker, can make great cuts, it's going to be great for the Ravens offense. And I think his play style work will contrast very well with Rashad Bateman. So we'll see where that goes. I hope the Ravens take him at number 22. 23, I have the Minnesota Vikings also taking a wide receiver, and they're going to take Jordan Addison. Now, you might be wondering, why do the Vikings need a wide receiver? They have Justin Jefferson. Yes, they do have Justin Jefferson, but at this point, they've lost Adam Thielen. They are possibly going to lose Dalvin Cook as well. So I think if you want to prevent defenses from honing in on Justin Jefferson and devoting their whole game plan to stopping just Justin Jefferson, which they're already doing, but if they're able to devote more manpower, that's going to be a problem. Having Jordan Addison, having that two wide receiver system, the Robin to J. Jeff's Batman, I think would be really good for the Vikings. Giving Kirk another weapon, high flying offense. And I think it couldn't hurt to have another quality wide receiver in that room for the Vikings. Next, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think are going to take Deontay Banks, the corner out of Maryland. I think the Jaguars are a pretty solid team. They're at that part in the team building process where they made a big leap last year. And I think that they are just kind of trying to solidify the rest of their roster and everything like that. So Deontay Banks, the corner, to me makes a lot of sense. And that's what I'll be picking for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Next, the New York Giants are going to take O'Cyrus Torrence, the guard from Florida. He can play interior offensive line, he can play center, he can play guard, either one. But I think the Giants, pretty simple. They just want to keep Daniel Jones upright. They made a large investment in him. They also want to be able to run the ball a little bit better. Next, for the Dallas Cowboys here, I think they're going to take Michael Mayer. Now, obviously, Dalton Schultz signed with the Houston Texans, and the Cowboys are a bit thin at pass catching. They got CeeDee Lamb, who's obviously really good, but do you really trust T.Y. Hilton? Do you really trust Devontae Turpin? I don't know. I think Michael Mayer fits a lot of the things that the Cowboys like. Blue blood program in Notre Dame. He can run block. Obviously, they're going to want to run the ball with Tony Pollard. and then I think he can catch the ball as well very well. You know, Notre Dame didn't have a lot of talent last year. They had issues at quarterback. He was a bright spot on their offense. I think Dak and him can work really well together, and he can thrive in this pass heavy offense. Next, Buffalo Bills, they're a bit thin at safety. I think they're going to go with Antonio Johnson. Obviously, Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde are aging and injury prone, and we don't know if DeMar Hamlin is going to play football again, unfortunately. Wishing him the best of luck, obviously. Antonio Johnson, I think the safety from Texas A&M is a really good safety, can give them at the very least some good depth. And again, you want to improve your defense as much as possible. You already lost Leslie Frazier for the year, which sucks. But in a conference with the Bengals and the Chiefs, two best quarterbacks in the league, you're gonna want some defense to prevent those guys. So I'm gonna want to take Antonio Johnson from the Bills here. The Bengals are going to take a tackle. They're going to take Anton Harrison from Oklahoma. I know they just signed Orlando Brown. He's going to play left tackle. I think Anton Harrison is going to play right tackle. Fuck Leo Collins. He was asked maybe move him to guard or maybe move one of these other guys to guard. Jonah Williams can maybe move to guard. You just want to protect Joe Burrow. Honestly, like it doesn't even fucking matter at this point. Just protect Joe Burrow with everything that you can, and you'll see the offense thrive more when he has more time to throw. New Orleans, very similar spot to Tampa. Shit draft position, shit roster, cap hell, everything like that. Just take the best player available. Take Will McDonald. Hopefully you don't have a repeat of Marcus Davenport, but I think Will McDonald can be a really good pass rusher out of Iowa State. Excuse me. You kind of just got to throw darts at the dartboard at this point if you're the Saints. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to go with Mozzie Smith to bolster their defensive line even more. He was a really good player for Michigan, and I think that the Eagles would love to have him to pair with Jordan Davis and everything like that. And then Kansas City, to finish it off, is going to take Josh Downs, the receiver. They're thin at wide receiver right now, so I think taking one with their first round pick is a no brainer. But let me know what you guys think of the mock draft. Let me know if I got your team right. Let me know what you guys think of my previous mock drafts as well. Make sure to subscribe if you are new. Make sure to like the video if you enjoyed. And I will catch you guys in tomorrow's video. Peace out.